you can even find on YouTube, there is a video, I'm pretty sure the title of it is Smoking Gun or Smoking Teeth or something, where they've got a scan of some brain, some nerves in the brain, and then they've put mercury into those brain nerves, and you can see them disintegrate before your eyes. So we have to ask ourselves, is this really a good idea to be putting this into supposedly life-saving medications when they're clearly not safe?
Hey guys, that was my friend and author Anna Rogers, and this is an important one if you want to detox your body, so stay tuned for that. But before we begin this interview, just a quick word about another product that's good for you: collagen. New studies show that by the time people reach their middle ages, the body often produces less than half the collagen it did when you were young. Collagen is the main building block in our skin, making up 70 to 80% of it. This is why we get sagging skin and wrinkles as we age. If you want to look younger, you must supplement with collagen. That's why I highly recommend healthwithsgt.com. Ageless Multi-Collagen is a powerhouse of the right ingredients to improve your youthful appearance quickly and effectively. It's got a 60-day money-back guarantee. Get my favorite multi-collagen for 51% off today by going to healthwithsgt.com or just click on the link below this interview. Hey friends, welcome back. Thank you so very much for tuning in. It's Sean from sgtreport.tv and sgtreport.com here for you. Guys, we are under assault by the elite. I think we're all feeling it, are we not? I mean, we have an illegitimate president in my view. That's very stressful. On top of that, there's 5G, vaccines. How about this new vaccine? The mRNA vaccine. My mother-in-law just got her first shot. She says she's happy with it. Ironically, she doesn't know what's in it, and she won't listen to me. As I mentioned to my friend Mike Adams in my last interview, there's pollution, GMOs, fluoride in the water. Boy, it's just so much stress, and today we're going to talk about ways to relieve some of that stress and reduce the toxicity in your body. I want to welcome to the show Eddie Stone. He's the CEO of Touchstone Essentials. Eddie, welcome back.
Hey, Sean, great to have a chance to be with you again.
Well, thanks for coming back on. I appreciate it. And Anna Rogers, the author of Toxic World, Toxic People. Anna, welcome back.
Thank you so much for having us again, Sean.
Well, it's a pleasure. Thanks for coming back on. I want to let everybody know you're going to get a chance to get a $5 bottle of Pure Body Extra Strength with free shipping if you live in the UK, USA, Canada, New Zealand, or Australia. That's a $79.95 product. I'll just jump to the chase, guys. I'll leave the link below. But the reason why we're doing this is because it has helped so many people detoxify themselves. Anna, we're going to talk about your story first, but let me just give another example of how much stress we're all under, this multifaceted attack. How about this headline from Zero Hedge, not The Onion, this is serious. The CDC warns against shouting and cheering during Sunday's Super Bowl, and they want us to double mask if we're going to hop on an airplane. I just wonder where this all ends. Does it end with quadruple masking and we have to stay in our own homes for the rest of human history? Anna, your book, Toxic World, Toxic People, I know you had some health issues growing up and you tried all sorts of different remedies. This one, Pure Body Extra Strength, seemed to work for you. It's zeolite. It's great stuff. Do you want to talk a little bit about your book?
Thank you. Well, I wrote my book because I grew up in a medical family and I was actually really ill and I didn't get any help from, unfortunately, my dad or any of the doctors that I saw, but I got progressively worse through time. And when you get desperate for help, you have to seek other avenues. And I began to be interested in natural health. And it wasn't until I was about 25 that I was in a very desperate state. And I didn't realize that I'd actually been suffering my whole life from lead poisoning and then later on mercury poisoning because of the exposure I had when I was young to lead-based paint. And then when I was older, when I was in the year when I was 25, that was when I had a flu injection. And I got very ill with the flu straight away, but didn't really think anything more of it, except that these things obviously don't work. They're not effective. So I forgot about that and then moved to the UK a year later. But my health progressively got worse, and it was really evident in my mental state because I had severe brain fog, a very bad memory, where I would literally go upstairs and think to myself, why am I here? What was I supposed to be doing? And I think I was just 27 pretty much. And that was scary because I felt like I knew what it was like to have dementia, where you just don't know what you're doing. I found it difficult to even be in social environments because when you're meeting someone, you're trying to talk about things, and I just would not know what I was saying mid-sentence, and it was really frightening. So I was sharing these things on Facebook because I thought someone out there is going to know what's wrong with me, because whenever I saw a doctor, they would prescribe me antidepressants and never ever brought up the subject of detoxing, never thought to check my liver, which was why I was just so dismayed, because I was sick of being told that there was nothing wrong, that it was all in my head. I also had very debilitating fatigue, and it was awful. I'd never been a well child, and that also showed in my mood and my behavior, where I'd have fits of rage and get really angry at my parents and at friends, and it was just a roller coaster of stress and sickness that was frightening, to the point where many times I contemplated suicide, and I've actually had a few attempts throughout that time. So I'm literally lucky to be here. But it wasn't until I started reaching out on Facebook, talking about my symptoms and finding other people that had suffered the same kinds of problems as I did. And a friend of mine asked me if I had any mercury poisoning. And I didn't even know what mercury was at the time. And she sent me some information and said, have I had any fillings? And I hadn't had any fillings. That was one good thing. But that I had some flu vaccines, because my dad would always give them to me growing up. So when I looked on the box, the manufacturer's website, for what was in it, there was something called thimerosal. And that's the rabbit hole I went down, was researching what that stuff is, why is it in there, what does it do to people, is there any safety testing? And I was absolutely horrified to find that it, first of all, was in there in the first place, and to discover that it really is very, very dangerous. I think it's the second most dangerous metal on Earth to humans. And you can even find on YouTube, there is a video, I'm pretty sure the title of it is Smoking Gun or Smoking Teeth or something, where they've got a scan of some brain, some nerves in the brain, and then they've put mercury into those brain nerves, and you can see them disintegrate before your eyes. So we have to ask ourselves, is this really a good idea to be putting this into supposedly life-saving medications when they're clearly not safe? So yeah, that was the start of my going down the rabbit hole, I call it, which was very intense research into this subject, because when you discover one part of it, such as I did with mercury, then it takes you to lead, then it takes you to aluminum, and then it takes you to pesticides and fungicides and herbicides, and it's really overwhelming. I remember being quite concerned about this world that I'd immersed myself in and feeling quite frightened about it. But then you start to realize that there are solutions out there, but you're just not being told about them, because our doctors don't know. They don't ever really get taught about detoxing. They think it's a stupid word. They think anyone that mentions detoxing is a quack. And I'm pretty certain they've been educated like that on purpose, because once you start and understand what's happening to the body and the brain of not just me, but everyone, kids are being born today with at least 200 industrial chemicals that are found to be in their umbilical cord, which is quite concerning, because when a mother is pregnant, her placenta is supposed to keep those chemicals away from our children, and it's clearly not doing that anymore. And even though that number is quite large, I think it's probably a lot more that's found in these umbilical cords, but they're not actually testing for other things. They're testing for a certain chemical profile. So it's really a massive problem. And there's lots of environmental doctors who specialize in this area of medicine, which say that all disease, all sickness has a toxicity root in it. So yeah, this has been a very passionate subject of mine for the last, at least 10 years. So I love speaking about it because I think everyone needs to know what's going on, and they also need to know what they can do to try and limit their exposure as much as possible, and how you can make your body function as best as it can.
Well, I heard a startling statistic, and I don't have it in front of me. I'm going off memory here, but I think it's been said that trace amounts of glyphosate are in pretty much all adults in our blood. Glyphosate being that Monsanto product. Think of Roundup, the weed killer. And you remember in my intro I mentioned GMOs. That's how insidious and nefarious, in my view, this system is, you guys. I mean, the GMO foods were created by Monsanto so that they could patent and own the corn and make that stuff Roundup ready, Roundup safe, right? So the weed killer wouldn't kill their version of corn. We eat the corn, and then we get the Roundup in our bodies forever. So I guess I'll go to you, Eddie. Do you want to talk a little bit about zeolite? Is it safe for kids? How does it work? Does it actually help get this stuff out of our bodies?
Well, just blanketly, yes. Yes, it's safe for kids. I mean, zeolites have no contraindications. And the zeolite we work with, we mine ours, a very pristine environment here in the United States. It's called clinoptilolite for those that are looking for the technical title. And that mined natural zeolite has GRAS status from the FDA. And that really, in this case, it's not really subjective how that was achieved. That's generated from a very long history of use in human beings, not just in the United States, but around the world. We know a great deal about its structure, function in the body. The body does not have natural receptor sites for it, and so it has that GRAS status. And for consumers, it's a very strong indication of something in this category. It's safety. Unfortunately, there's a lot of things they allow manufacturers and product producing companies to produce for us to consume that haven't had that level of scrutiny, certainly don't carry GRAS status. And that's probably a whole nother show we could do about how that's occurred to us and the dangers it poses as a society. But yes, it's safe and has no contraindications. So there's nothing regarding it that says that it's restrictive relative to children. Now, we encourage people that's going to give it to their kids or anybody that's under 18 years of age, just to make sure they've educated themselves. And if they're under the care of a physician, you've got a trusted professional as a family you're working with, that you make sure transparently you're discussing these things. But there's nothing in that regard. And I certainly gave it to my children when they were babies. My wife used zeolites when she was pregnant. That was our personal experience. And that kind of safety recognition isn't just here in the U.S. You have that throughout Europe and the European Union. It's also recognized as safe for consumers throughout Asia as well. And so for someone, you can look at our website. We have safety information there. There's 300 plus entries on PubMed for people that are wanting to educate themselves, be an informed consumer. And we, of course, also put up our third-party lab testing on our finished product. But even mined, our product is in its raw state is Prop 65 compliant. So it's a product that if I don't have grandkids, but if I had grandkids, I'd have no hesitation in them using it.
Well, maybe I should have led with this other question. How does it work? I know you wouldn't sell a product that's not safe. So yes, Sure. It's safe, but how does it work? How does it help get glyphosate and lead and mercury out of our bodies?
Well, it's really quite remarkable. And, there's a lot of people out there in the scientific community kind of refer to it as a miracle mineral just because of its natural native properties. And I've worked directly with zeolite since 2005, so 15 plus years. And I really feel the same way. So this mineral that we mine from the earth, it's a hardened mineral. We then use a proprietary prepping process. We mill it to a certain size, but here's the key to it. It has a natural cage-like structure. And so you might envision in your mind's eye maybe a sponge, or maybe even what Swiss cheese looks like, because under a really highly magnified microscope environment, can't see it with your naked eye, you can actually see the tunnels and channels and things that it holds. But the key to it is that inside its cages, it holds a natural or native negative charge. That charge enables it to function and act as an ion exchanger, very much the same way you might think of how antioxidants work in the body, right? You get antioxidants from fresh fruits and vegetables, really colorful fruits particularly, and when they come across a free radical, they exchange out an electron. This is an ion exchange, and neutralize that electron, or they neutralize that free radical. Well, in this very same way, that's what happens with the zeolite as it moves through the body, and it works based on proximity, right? It's not a chemical dilution like you might think of most drugs that are out there having this kind of chemical impact. This is really a physical impact. So when you consume it, we have two-sized products. One's principally going to work in the gut. The other is going to absorb mucously and work on a cellular level. But as it's moving through the body, and it comes in proximity to heavy metals such as the mercury we were talking about, cadmium, lead, and things of this kind, those have a positive charge. And so in the very same way, say the north end and the south end of a magnet work is when they come close to one another, they snap together, right? They have a natural attraction. So does the zeolite have a natural attraction to those heavy metals. And literally there will be an ion exchange for cadmium, lead, mercury, these substances, and they'll get trapped in the cage of the zeolite. Once it's there, once that binding has taken place, assuming normal renal function, which we should, it's going to be out of the body in about a 4 to 6 hour period of time. And so from a detox standpoint for consumers and people that are familiar with detox, unlike something like bentonite clay or even charcoal, this is very discerning. It's very targeted in that regard, which is important for its effectiveness. Simultaneous to that, there's a description of a process called the zeta effect, where that cage inside, that negative charge inside the cage also has an impact on the surface area. In the same way, if I held a piece of paper above the magnet, it would still maintain an effectiveness to something above it. Well, that means not only is it taking through ion exchange things into its cage, but it's also attracting them to the surface. And so you might think of it in the same way maybe that you would see a snowball start at the top of the mountain. As it's working its way down the mountain, right? It's going to gather other snow on it and become sort of larger in this regard. Here, larger is relative and not meaningful to how it works in the body. But as it moves through the body, it's going to have a sweeping effect for things like glyphosate or other toxins that sort of fit into that volatile organic category, which is one of the bigger issues and concerns that we have. If you think about volatile organics, things that the glyphosate slips into, those really are almost what we would describe as forever chemicals, right? You mentioned that we all have glyphosate in it from the food supply, which is true. We're still dealing with DDT, and it was banned from consumer use in the 1970s. And so these things linger. In what consumers should know, and Anna talked about this indirectly when she was describing her situation, oftentimes these volatile organics or heavy metals, they're neurotoxic. They're disruptive to the function of the brain. They can disrupt the function of your hormones, and critically, they can damage the DNA in your body. They can damage the telomeres, which are the endpoints on the DNA strand as it's trying to replicate. Anytime you have a mutated rogue DNA replication, right, that's problematic and representative of risk of disease. It can accelerate the aging process. It can accelerate your vulnerability to brain degenerative diseases. And so there's no question that this toxic load that we have just from modern living, right? You don't have to live next to a coal-fired power plant to be getting toxins. They're in your pristine neighborhood, just like you described. They are everywhere. And so, I've come to develop a philosophy for myself and my family that just as we're trying to pay attention to our diets and make, as good of decisions as we can, I'm also trying to make decisions with my diet that aid my body in its ability to detox, because I can't get away from it, right? There's no living in a bubble. And so there's a duality to a strategy there with the food I consume, and I include in that zeolites for this reason, because I can't get away from it, and neither can our audience, no matter how we try.
I want to show you guys something funny. It's not funny, actually. It's quite sad. You mentioned DDT, Eddie, and did you know that was Monsanto too? I bet you did. Monsanto began manufacturing DDT in 1944 along with 15 other companies. Yeah, it's just an assault on humanity for multi-decades. Now, I want to come back to Anna in a second and talk about her health regimen. Is it just zeolite she uses? What other products might she suggest? But first, let's talk about the offer. All right, guys, the Pure Body Extra Strength Zeolite is $79.95 normally. You can get it for $5 and free shipping. Like I said, if you live in the UK, USA, Canada, New Zealand, or Australia. Now, when you sign up for auto ship, which is what you need to do to get the $5 offer, the price will drop to $63.83. It's not a cheap product, but honestly, if it helps you detox and it helps you regain your health, and we're going to see what it does for my two sons who have their issues. Anna, what do you do? What is your health regimen? So what helped you get over the brain fog, the depression, the suicidal ideation? Was it just discovering zeolite, or is there more to the story?
Well, it was probably one of the main factors. There's two factors for me, but the liquid zeolite was the first one where within 2 weeks I noticed a huge improvement that was almost like magic. I couldn't really believe it, because it had been a really long haul of suffering so much and being really fearful, because when you feel like you're losing your mind and that no matter what you try it doesn't work, then you only think it's going to get worse and worse, and that life would never be, you know, joyful and happy and healthy. But yeah, after that 2 weeks, it was really exciting, because I realized that what I thought was true, that I was poisoned by different kinds of toxins and metals, and that I'd found something that was safe and worked and didn't take out the good stuff, because sometimes detoxing things can take with it good vitamins and minerals as well. And then the other thing that I tried, which I still take today, is some mitochondrial supplements. And I also take most of the ones that you showed up on the screen just before. I take obviously the Pure Body Spray, the liquid drops, and then also take the Super Green Juice Powder and the Calm CBD. And yeah, if I could, I'd have every single product that Touchstone make, because they're super high quality, and Eddie always tests the food that's put into them for contaminants, because this is the problem, that we're living in a world, as we said before, that you can't escape toxins. So even organic farming can get traces of things on it, but Eddie always makes sure that the food that he purchases to put into his products are tested and have the proof that they are low in contaminants. So it's a really safe, trustworthy brand. And I sort of started my journey with blogging. I used to have a website, and what I used to do was review organic health products. And yeah, I was known for sort of my integrity of only ever saying I like something if it really worked, and if it had the evidence behind it that it was actually good for you.
In Touchstone Essentials, now that's a company I found out about from my friend Carrie Rivera. That's how I met you, Anna. I want to remind people that your book is called Toxic World, Toxic People. How do people get the book if they want to check it out? Is it on Amazon? Boy, I don't like Amazon. Is there a better place they can get it?
It is on Amazon. In fact, you could probably get it from the Book Depository as well.
Is that a library? Book Depository?
Yeah, it sounds like it, doesn't it?
For the young people out there, I think that's called a library.
Yeah, it's just a website where they just sell books. But yeah, it's on there. And I think it used to be on some shops' websites. Like I used to see it on Nordstrom, but I really don't know where else. I think if you just typed it into Google or DuckDuckGo, so use that one instead of Google.
Yeah, well done. Let's defund Google. Let's defund Amazon. Let's defund some of these big tech companies. Maybe put a little bit more money into Touchstone Essentials. Guys, I'm an affiliate, so if you buy the product, you will be supporting SGT Report, and I really do appreciate your time, Anna. Thank you so very much.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
A pleasure's all mine. And Eddie, just one last word from you. So people fully understand how this offer works. They can click the link below. They can try Pure Body Extra Strength for $5, free shipping, money back guarantee, correct?
That's right. 100% money back guarantee. We have a AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau. We have 10,000 plus 5-star reviews. I mean, it's very simple. If you don't want to do a subscription, you can just buy the product at the regular price. But if you do the subscription and take the $5 off from the first bottle, you're then guaranteed our next best price for that next purchase in 30 days, and of course the free shipping. So we encourage you to try it. If you get it, you don't like it, no reasons asked for you to say, I don't want my subscription, or if you want your $5 back, we can arrange for that as well. You can chat us up, you can email us, you can call. We try to make it as friendly for consumers as possible. We believe in this product and what it can do for people, and that's really where this starts for us.
Yeah, and just so people know, I take it, it's pretty much tasteless. It's 4 sprays, right?
Yeah, 4 sprays 3 times a day.
All right. And the bottle will last a month?
It will. Yeah. It's simple. And you mentioned your kids. So for those out there that struggle sometimes with either kids or even older adults that just, they don't want to try stuff, they're really conscious of any kind of funky taste or textures or things like that, this is akin to spraying a tasteless water in your mouth. In fact, for most people, it absorbs so quickly in the mouth, there won't even be anything to swallow. And so we get great reviews from parents with picky kids, right? That's kind of the description. And so I don't believe you'll have any trouble in that regard using the product.
All right. Money back guarantee, guys. Nothing ventured, nothing gained, nothing to lose. And potentially you can regain some of your health. And I really appreciate your time today. Eddie, thank you so much.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Anna.
God bless you. Thanks, Anna.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye. Friends, thanks so much for tuning in. We appreciate you. A shout out to our members at sgtreport.tv. Thank you so much for your support. Our subscribe stars, the same exact thing. Thank you so much for your support. And guys, for real news, check us out at sgtreport.com. The antidote to corporate propaganda, 24/7. God bless. Bye-bye.